Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, depending upon where you are in the world. It is Thursday. I'm waiting for Facebook to catch up here. That's why I'm hesitating. And then let me put my pinned comment in here. Yay, yay. Okay, here we go. Facebook has been lagging. There's been so much of this technical stuff and glitches and all kinds of fun stuff going on. So as I'm waiting for you to arrive, I am setting myself up. I forgot to set this part up. So let me just set up my tablet so I can follow the comments. Usually I do this ahead of time, but I just got off of a guest live with someone and I was eating my dinner and then jumped right into this. I was doing all kinds of work. So I lost track that I needed to pull up my page so I can follow along on the comments. All right, so I see some of you are here. Hello, hello, Natalie and Jen and Will. Happy Table Talk Thursdays. Yes, awesome, awesome. Welcome, welcome. It is Table Talk Thursday, and tonight's topic is whose coat are you wearing? Lots of times we're not wearing our own coat. Why do I say that? Empaths. This is talking about tonight will be about an empath survival guide. And hello, Werner. Welcome. Hi, Joel. Someone who's everybody else is usually. And so say hi if you're here. I am Elyse Ann Psychic, the Psychic Liaison for Scene, and this is Table Talk Thursdays. Every week we pick a topic. Or I pick a topic, depending upon if anybody makes a suggestion or not. Actually, my spirit team will hand it to me usually. But I do love to hear from all of you what type of topics you would like to discuss. This is all for you. These are where I come from, a place of, from my experiences, is working with clients for 20 years and my own, I used to teach workshops. So I've amassed a lot of information, knowledge through my research and just my own experiences. And so I'm here to help you. This is my way of giving back. This is my way of being of service for all of you. And so this is truly a forum where interaction really matters. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear, hello, Jen. We want to hear your experiences. I'd love you to ask me questions about the topic. That's why I'm here, because I understand also. Hello, Jeremy. Hello, Janice. Hello, Donna Marie. Welcome to all of you. So I have lived this life. And when I say whose coat are you wearing, because as an empath, when we're sensitive, it's usually everybody else's stuff. And so that's why actually Spirit gave me the title. They always do. Again, I work with my spirit team on this. And so what happens is, and hello, Melissa, I'm looking down at my tablet here. Growth can be a good topic for everyone. That's awesome. Okay. We can talk about that too. Awesome. I like that. So let's talk a little bit about the sensitivity and being an empath. I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I'd love to hear about your story. And again, this is interactive. I don't want to talk at you the whole hour. That's just not, and the best lives we have with this is when we're all sharing. So please feel free. Okay. I would really love for you to feel free to share whatever it is you'd like to share this evening. So I know that we're all psychic. We are. But I know part of me, myself being psychic, I'm an empath, very sensitive. When you're an empath, you feel everything. Let's see. Janice is letting go of old shame and pain. Yes. Donna Marie. Hi, Cassandra. Hi, Sandy. Okay, let me just address real quick for Donna Marie. Let me address her comment. Can you have a reading, please? Well, I'd say yes this evening, though, Donna Marie, and I hope you'll stay with us anyhow. This evening is not mini psychic readings. I have a regular Wednesday live that I do, 11 a.m. We're the same Pacific Standard Time every Wednesday, where I offer mini psychic readings. And I also jump on here and there, last minute lives where I do the psychic mini readings, Donna Marie. So I welcome you and encourage you to stay with us tonight and share and listen to the topic and learn and grow with all of us, and myself included. And if there's a topic that any of you would like to hear about in the future, please drop it in the comments or contact me, because again, this is for you. And Donna Marie, I hope I'll see you on another live somewhere along the way, but please, please stay with us. And I hope you will. So, hello, Cassandra. Hello, Dana. How are you? All right. So, here we go. All right. So, I was talking about being an empath. And I know for myself, um, very, very sensitive. Actually, that was a struggle I had growing up, because in my family, I was always told you're too sensitive, or you worry too much. And of course, I'm a little girl, I'm being told this, so it messed with my psyche some, but that's a whole nother story. Um, but this is what happens when we're sensitive. Okay, great, Donna Marie, I'm glad. Okay. This is what happens when we're so sensitive. Some people would say, Warner says, love this as I can relate so much. Yeah, sensitivity. And not to get into societal norms, but especially for men, oh boy, you can really be just hit in many ways very, very hard when it comes to being a sensitive person, because culture says men should not be sensitive. Well, I think that's a whole bunch of bunk, but actually I use a different word, but I'm on live. And by the way, also, please share this out to people. Tony usually shares with me. Hi, Vicky. Shares this for me, but she's traveling. She's moving. So if you have any groups or your timeline, please share it out. The more the merrier. Anyhow, so, first of all, society many times doesn't want any of us to really share our emotions, male or female. And I know, again, when we're so sensitive, some people don't understand. They just think that they're sensitive and there's something wrong with them. And lots of times they're told, hello, Lorna, welcome, welcome. Lots of times we're told it's not okay or something. It's phrased in a way that something's wrong with you. Just like when I was told, oh, you're too sensitive. Well, yeah, I am, because I'm an empath. And when you're a sensitive or an empath, you are absorbing. You're absorbing energy. You're I'm sorry, that was Lori. My eyesight sometimes. Hi, Lori. Sorry about that. We're absorbing everything. We're feeling, hi, Sunny. We're feeling the emotions of everybody else. We're feeling the energies of the world. We're feeling the energies of the household we're in. And so many times we're on overload and we don't know what to do with ourselves. And especially when you're young and you're aware of this, it can be very, very difficult. But even as adults, yes, yes, we do. We do. You're right, Sonny. We feel everything. And it can make it very difficult to just be, even as adults, it can be very difficult many times to just be and exist and understand ourselves. Because if we're wearing everybody else's coats, okay, that's what I meant by that. Well, Spirit gave me that title, like I said, but that's what they mean. You're not just wearing your own coat. You're wearing everybody else's coat on top of that. So whose coat are you really wearing? Everybody's. And then all of a sudden, your coat, if you will, gets lost. Like, where is my coat? What is my coat? Which one is my coat? And it can be, hi, Sophie, welcome. It can be so difficult to really exist and understand yourself. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more, but I like to acknowledge the comments as they come through. I am working in the past. I fallen very behind on my comments, and then I'm commenting to the comment, and they're way gone. All of you are past me, and I'm just talking about the comments. So I work very hard now to keep up with comments too. I'm growing and learning. So here we go. Melissa says, I feel pain and don't always know who it belongs to, and just getting understanding of how to not take it on. I'm always told too sensitive, and people try to use it to be manipulative. I want to take my coat off. Okay, I'll agree with that. And that can fall into the place of when we're sensitive, we tend to also, a lot of us are givers. And that's where I think that people can manipulate. I believe that may be part of what you're talking about. They can manipulate. They see it as a way to get in and take advantage of. Yes. Because a lot of us are such givers. Why is that? Why does being empath or sensitive translate into a lot of us being huge givers? And it is because we know the pain. We understand the pain. And what happens. Hi, Ashton. Hi, Mary. Okay, Ashton, I'm going to get to that comment in a minute. Um, what happens is, at least I can, I say this as a general, but I'm also speaking from my own experience. Because, like I said, I've lived it. I've lived it. And what happens is we're not, first of all, we feel it 1,000 times deeper and more intensely than others. And that's why a lot of us were told, oh, you're too sensitive. Or for me, it was you worry too much too, because not only was I sensitive, I'm psychic. And so I would know things were going to happen before they happen. And I just remember I'd say it and I'd be told, oh, you worry too much. Like it's never going to happen. And lo and behold, there it was. So I have both of them. So let me see. Okay, so sorry, I'm reading comments, like I said. Let me finish my thought here, and then I'll go into the comments. And so it also makes it so difficult for us to navigate because so many times we think it's ourselves, like, oh, that's my pain, that's my emotion, that's me feeling sad, that's me feeling happy. But we're in this confusion because it's not really where we are sometimes. Like, yes, maybe we're happy also. Hi, Princess Sophia. But what I'm saying is, I don't know about you, but I'll never forget one day I woke up. This goes back years ago, not as a little girl, but years ago. And I woke up one day and I woke up like angry, but I couldn't fit it into my world. Like I didn't, there was nothing that occurred the night before that would have put me in an angry state. So it was very confusing to me until I started to really understand and get a handle on all of this. And I'll tell you, I went out and I had to run errands. And everywhere I went, I think I went to 5 different places, and in 4 of them, I was confronted with anger. Not that I was spewing it out on anybody, because that's not who I am. Even if I'm feeling angry, I keep it. My kindness comes out and I do my best to understand we're all just walking a path. But it was very interesting the way my energy, they were reading my energy, and I was then met with anger from other people. And as I was driving home, I'm like, what is going on? And then I recognized that this truly was not my anger. Somewhere from being the sensitive person that I am and being open to energy, because that's really what it is, whether you think you are or not, that's where a lot of it is hitting us from too. It's how we feel it. It's all through energy. That I was experiencing somebody else's anger and believing it was my own because I was feeling it. So this is how it can really skew us and throw us off, and we can feel things like, where did that come from? Or I don't understand. And it really can blanket over us what we really are feeling, us as an individual. So let me go into these comments so I don't miss some of them here, and then we'll go a little further into this. Okay. Ashton says, I think I'm dying continuously every day, all day. Ashton, I'm sorry to hear that, sweetheart. I'm going to suggest, and this is for everyone because this is one of the tools I was going to share, but this is some serious stuff here, and I want to definitely make sure that I let you know right away. Whenever we're feeling these negative emotions, these strong emotions that are not healthy, because they're not ours. Now, sometimes it is. That's a whole different ballgame, okay? But when we're feeling some of these really intense feelings, very important to stop, pause, and you can always call Archangel Michael in to help clear the energy. Because even if we don't feel we can do it, Archangel Michael will come in and help us with that. That's his job, if you will. And he's a blue energy. And then I almost heard, I don't know, someone asked this and I just heard it because that happens with me. I'm psychic, or if that was my spirit team. But I got the feeling of, well, what if I get rid of or clear the incorrect energy? With Archangel Michael, that will never happen because Archangel Michael just knows. Okay, so we invoke Archangel Michael and we just say, please clear any and all energy that is not that is not of my making. That is no, let me rephrase that. Clear any and all negative energy so that the energy that is present is mine and healthy. That's what I'm hearing them say. Okay, so make sure you word it in a positive. You can word it whatever way you're comfortable, but just to give you an idea, Archangel Michael will come in. You ask him to clear that energy for you, and you trust in that. And the other thing I'm being told by my team, because again, I'm not doing psychic readings, but my spirit team's always there channeling messages to me as I do my work. And I love my table talk. It's, my work doesn't feel like work to me. My readings, it doesn't feel like I'm working. I love it. But that's how I describe it to people. They're always giving me messages. And so it's just really important to pause, they're saying. When this is happening, pause. Don't go into a frantic mode, they're saying. We never want to necessarily go into a frantic mode. And that's another thing. Some of us have these sensitivities to the point we have anxiety sometimes. I'm not saying first of all, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a mental health professional. I am not diagnosing anybody. I am just giving you an option to consider that it could be partly from that. Because we're so energy sensitive, we can pick up on other people's anxieties, other people's panic. And then we feel, because we're so empathic and we don't know what's ours and what's somebody else's, we then start to identify it with ourselves, if that makes sense. Okay. Please seek out a medical professional or mental health professional for yourself if at all needed. I do not take the place of that, but I want to offer that to you because so many of us are so sensitive and we really don't know, even though we think we might know, we don't know what is ours and what's somebody else's. And I'm going to get into some tools further in a little bit, but I do want to address some more of the comments here. I love it. I love all of this interaction. Yes, Melissa, kindness for weakness. They do. They think they can get in there and kind of, because we're givers or we're sensitive or we love so many, that they can take advantage of us. And that's where our boundaries come in. That's a whole nother ball game, but that actually is part of some of the tools we can utilize. So let's see. Jeremy, sometimes the pain is unbearable, especially when you give and get nothing in return. Okay. That is true. So sometimes it comes down to us discerning for ourselves. And what do I mean? It's not that we withhold kindness from somebody. That's not what I'm advocating at all. But it's also determining how much and what part of yourself you may want to give. And it's very important for all of us when we give to do it without expectations. Okay. And understand. Okay, I hear you and my team. I hear them very clearly. We may give in this direction to this person, and they may be incapable, unable to, or unwilling to give back to us. But then over here is the person that shows up to give to us. So it's not always a tit for tat. Keep that in mind. It's about the open heart and knowing, as we have, if you ever think about in your life, because I got to say, probably everybody's had a time in life where they've needed a helping hand one way or another. And those people that you helped in the past aren't necessarily the ones that step up and help you, but someone always shows up. Okay. So in some ways, it's not a tit for tat. It's we give because we want to, but we also have to discern what we feel about giving to that person and how much we do give to that person. We need to have boundaries. When we're an empath and we're so sensitive because we know how it feels. Whoa, do we know how it feels? And that's part of what turns us into such givers, because we know the pain. We feel the pain about 1,000 times more intensive than other people when you're empathic or sensitive. Okay. So a lot of us turn into givers because we understand it. We feel it so intensely. And that's the way we just almost like we know how it feels. So we want to give and help. But it's also about understanding where our limitations are and where our boundaries are. Okay. So let me see. I hope that helped with that. Um, Melissa says, yes, I'm always told quit worrying. Also, yeah, mm-hmm. Now I have to say, true confessions, you guys. I was a big warrior. Well, I guess I was a big warrior too. I was a big worrier, but I growing up knew I was very psychic, but I didn't really know I didn't have a grasp on what it all meant because it was just me. Nobody was in my world to guide me about it. And so I came to terms and finally figured out it wasn't so much that I was a big worrier, it's just that I would get premonitions and I'd know what was coming. And so I tried in some ways to alleviate that before it happened. So it would translate into me worrying about a situation. And so, yeah, it doesn't mean we don't have to allow those labels to stick to us. That's another piece I want to say. We don't. We know the truth of who we are. We're sensitive individuals, we're empathic individuals, we feel very deeply. But you know what? Don't look at it as a negative thing because it makes us who we are. It makes us capable of the deep, intense love that we are able to share with those that we choose to share it with. Okay. It makes us special in a certain way. It doesn't mean we're better than anybody else. It just means we have this special quality about us that we're able to utilize and give out to others in the way that we know how. And only we know how as empaths and sensitives. Okay. So let me see here. I'm a little behind, I know, but I'm catching up. Hi, Serena. Welcome. And by the way, if you're new here, I just want to mention, please like and follow my Elyse Ann Psychic page and make sure your notifications are set at favorites or all, depending, I guess, Facebook plays with all that. I say that every time because I used to say favorites and somebody's like, no, say all. So I just throw them both out there. That way you'll get notifications when I go live. And please invite your friends to my page. Let them take advantage and have the benefit of everything I share. I do all kinds of lives. I do channel card messages. So just check out my page and also my website, ElyseAnnPsychic.com. I do work with my clients individually, private one-on-one sessions. So check it all out. Sign up for my email list when you're there. You'll get exclusive 3-card channeled monthly messages too. All right, commercial over. Okay, Mary says, I woke up angry this morning just because I was thinking of how other people are. Yes, we can do that. And I have to, again, through professions, this is me. Um, no matter where we are in our journey and our path, from a spiritual aspect, we're human beings. And we have to have grace and compassion that we can struggle. We're affected by a lot of things. There's a balance here. And I'll have to tell you, not that long ago, I went through some tough times and I still do every once in a while because being so sensitive, I have never understood how others can hurt others or how others could be abusive or how others could do just some very heinous things. It goes against everything that I feel, know, believe, in who I am. And the thing that I've done to help myself, and there are times I like, um, is to just there. I just saw that comment as I looked down. The news can overwhelm me. Absolutely. Because when we read about these things, maybe something that happened to somebody else, we can feel, we know how it feels, we know the intensity of the feelings. And a lot of them aren't comfortable. Or the news, we start getting sucked into that energy, and that is all negative energy. Now, look, I am not against the news. I do believe in keeping yourself informed, but what I do advocate against is immersing yourself in it. And I've had to wean myself back off of it because there was a time years ago, not that many years ago, that I was almost obsessive. And I knew why it had to do with a lot of my own survival and security and things like that as my own journey to go on. So I acknowledged that for myself and I allowed it. I had grace for myself. I didn't judge myself, but I finally said, okay, enough. Because every time you do this, it's triggering you, it's pulling you into places you don't want to be. And so, to be honest, I don't shut out the news altogether, but I'll look at a few headlines just so I know what's going on. Now, that's my choice, but I have learned how to not attach emotionally to it. And it takes some work. And I can't always say that I can do it perfectly. There are times like I'm through the roof because I'm like, you're out to be kidding me. And, some other choice words might come out of my mouth. I'm talking to the walls. But so anyhow, when we're so sensitive, again, we're just so much more affected. I know I keep saying that, but this is the thing about all of that. And this is another tool. And I know I'm just touching on them and I'm thinking we'll kind of get a little further into them. But first of all, I mean, a very kind of obvious one would be disconnect. If you're starting to feel yourself slip down that path, so this is how you can really help yourself. And this is what I've learned to do. Instead of allowing myself to keep going and rolling down that hill, I get started and then it goes rolling and rolling. And then all of a sudden I slam down to the bottom. I don't allow myself that anymore because that's not healthy for me. And it really does not solve anything or resolve anything or help us in any way. And so, what I do is I'll recognize and I'll say, okay, it's time to unplug. Because the thing is, we have to keep in mind the best we can that there are certain things in life that we can affect and certain things we can't. So, for example, and I'm not getting into politics, but this is a great example of it. Instead of getting so wrapped up in politics, which is so dysfunctional and many other things that are not positive right now, I believe. And again, I'm not, it's not a political conversation, just to give you an idea. I remind myself that, first of all, I'm not a politician, so there's almost only so much I can do. Okay. I look at what can I do to change it? And I know, well, I can vote. And if I want to volunteer or get involved, I can do that. However, I'm not in Washington, D.C. making the laws. I can only voice my opinion or have my voice from where I sit. So I let go of all that because I know I'm doing my part and I can't make anybody else do anything. And sometimes that's how I disconnect from some of those very intense emotions. Because even if it's not somebody else's emotions, let's talk about that. Because we feel even our own emotions, we feel 1,000 times deeper and more intensely. Okay, it's a special gift we have. In many ways, it is a blessing, though. Let me go into the comments and I want to talk about that, about the blessings. Okay, so Princess Sophia says, I've done some work with a professional in this area a few weeks ago, and it seems hopeful, but I have a long way to go. I get so angry with it. I know, honey, it's a process. It truly is a process. So have grace and compassion for yourself. You will hear me say this, all of you, the more you share time with me here and bless me with coming on to my lives and working with me. We're perfectly imperfect human beings, and we are both sides of the coin. I know a lot of spiritual teachers out there will just say, hey, we're a spiritual being having a human experience. And that's where they leave it. And that's okay. That works for them, works for the people that believe in that regard. I have no judgment or anything about that. But for me, I'm a huge advocate that that's only half the story because we are also a human being having a spiritual experience. That is so real to us too. So, in order to help ourselves and to move through some of this, we need to balance those and understand there are two parts to us. There's not just one. Okay. So, it is a process, it is a journey. Don't think I did this overnight. Are you kidding me? I've been through the mill and then some, and about 40 times over. And so I get the deep, intense work it can take, but it's well worth it. It's well worth it. When I look back and see where I am now and how in many ways I so much it's so much easier now for me to pull myself out. Do I always do it? No. I can't always do it. But where I might have stayed in it for days and weeks and months, maybe I'll hit it 5 minutes. Every once in a while, if it's something really big, I might hit it for about an hour. But then I'm like, okay, it is what it is. I just have to acknowledge that. I'm doing what I can, and then I have to detach from some of those emotions. And that's how we're going to help ourselves. Because that's another thing. We're conditioned to feel. We're conditioned to feel deep. So it's not that I say, hey, shut down your emotions, but it's almost like having the barometer on them and being very aware how you're moving through it, how you're recognizing it, how you're processing it, and help yourself. If the fire is hot, try not to stick your hand in it over and over, right? I guess that's a pretty good analogy. So, okay, let me look at some more of these comments. I love it. I love this interaction. Thank you so much, all of you. I just love it. Okay, so Janice says, I'm reading people who have bad intentions. Yes, I was going to bring that up. And people are like, you can't say that. You don't know them, right, Elyse? Yeah, yes, that's exactly it. The blessing. That's one of the blessings that I wanted to bring up. So thank you so much, Janice. Hi, Cindy Rose. Hello, hello. And hello, Peggy. Okay, I'm going to catch up. And hello, Shakti. I'm going to catch up with some of these comments. All right, so yes, that is where we have to look at blessings. Because I don't know about you, but I know before I know. And I'm not going to say who, but they're two famous people. When I was a little girl, I was so repelled. For no apparent reason, I was just like, I, and some things have come out over the years about who they truly are at the core. I don't want to go into details, but that was my sensitivity to energy, my empathic piece, picking up on that part of their energy. So, in many ways, even though sometimes we struggle so much with this, it can be a true blessing because it can be a radar for us too, can help us to avoid people. And be careful. I'm being told to bring this up. So, it's a little, it runs in the vein of, it's a little bit of a different topic, but this is the thing. When you have those feelings, okay, really important, don't push them away, don't negate them, don't ignore them, because what happens is, especially as sensitives and empaths, we feel it, then we go in our head and we go, our ego goes, well, we might feel like Joe, we get this little ooh from Joe, whatever it is, our energies just don't mix. But then we go, oh well, Joe is Bill's best friend, and I really like Bill. We're really good friends. So Joe's got to be a decent guy. Well, maybe he is, but for you, that energy doesn't match. And so, no, let's not. I mean, you could be pleasant or, acquaintances, but we're not going to get into a friendship with that person. See, when we're empathic, we get those warning bells. We get those warning feelings, I should say. Okay. But try not to turn it into your head and start to make logic out of it, or start to, our eyes will deceive, or our minds will deceive. That's what the ego does. So it is very much a blessing. Okay. So exactly. Visceral reaction. Absolutely. All right. Cut the cords. Yes, Cassandra. Thank you. That is an excellent tool. Absolutely. 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 When we are sensitive to energy, I've been talking a lot about emotions, but I have to say, lots of times it can come through as physical also. I'm a Reiki master teacher, energy healer, so I feel other things in people. I do that work with people, but also because I'm so energy open, energy sensitive, and empath, there are days I'm like, oh, that hurts. What happened? And then I'll call my sister and I'll say, hey, does your left shoulder hurt? Just, a little bit behind. She'll go, yeah, all day since yesterday. I'm like, oh my gosh, cut the cords. And this is where we, without even realizing, as an empath, we want to carry it. We want to help them. We want to give, but it's not healthy for us. So coming into an awareness, and it is about cutting the cords, or as I like to say, unplugging, because I see it as we're plugged into it, as like literally a plug into an outlet. And you do it with love, and you just pull that or cut the cords, however you want to say it. I pull the plug out of the wall. If you want to cut the cords, just make sure you take both ends of the cord, and I, give it up to the white light of the universe to be transmuted. All right. Really important, because it's the energy of things that we're really dealing with. That's why everything's energy. So if we can work with some of the tools when it comes to energy, it's going to help alleviate some of it. Now, don't expect to have this overnight. It is a process, and you're going to learn to recognize too. Lots of us don't recognize because it's so innate, so natural for us to be in that space of feeling so deeply and intensely. That's why I could never be in the medical field. I I could never do it. Bless those people. I could never do it, because just even the thought of, I can almost feel it for them. Anyhow, as an aside, excuse me a moment. Okay, Peggy says, I've learned to put music in my ears or head to help. Oh, that's a good idea. I like that. Especially when we're feeling that negative pull or that really intense energy. The music is energy and it soothes our soul. It's naturally uplifting as long as it's not, head banging punk rock. And I'm not saying don't listen to that. I'm just saying try and take yourself into a better place. Not sure that's the music to do it with, but whatever soothes your soul, whatever makes you lifts your heart, whatever, builds you up in that regard. It's great to uplift the energy for yourself, which pulls you out of some of that intensity also. Thank you for that, Peggy. Melissa, I get anxiety so extreme it sometimes seems debilitating and it's premonition before something happens. Yeah. I understand that it can be hard. But again, let's go back to I used to get premonitions all the time. I still do, but not to the same intensity. And there too, it's learning that what we can have an effect on and what we can't. And if we can't affect something to take on all those energies and all those anxieties and negative emotions, isn't going to solve anything or resolve anything. So some of it is just sitting back and saying, okay, that can I help myself with taking this on, or do I just have to know that I can send, and this is a great tool also, love, light, and blessings to whomever that is affecting, or to whomever. If you get a premonition and it's not somebody you can still send love and blessings and light to them and their angels to them. Still do that. And that's a great tool in other aspects too. If there's somebody you are having issues with, okay, if you have an ex, if there's someone in your life that's an ex, a lot of people are like, oh, not everybody, but love and light and blessings to them, because that's how you detach. And you're like, okay, because you're not going to be held, chained to that person or any of those negative emotions. Okay. So Werner says, oh yes, for sure. I try to block it out, but I care too much. Love the warrior mode. Eric, that came right out. Um, Yes, Werner. Caring. We do, I don't want to say overcare, but everything we do tends to be more intensive than most people. So if you've ever been called a wow or said you're intense, because we're feeling it all. They're not, but we are, right? And so it's not a negative thing. But again, to say, to say to Werner, oh hi Will. Okay, to say, for what Werner says, you care too much, you can still care a lot, but honey, the first thing for all of us, we have to care and take care of ourselves first so that we can still function. Because if we allow ourselves to wear too many coats, we're not functioning in our own worlds anymore. Think about that. I want to repeat that. My team's saying repeat that, my spirit team. When we put on everybody's coat or too many coats, we are not functioning in our own world anymore. We're not functioning from ourselves. We're functioning from others and for others. Think about that. I like that. Thank you, Spirit. So I want to leave that with all of you to kind of sift through and let it kind of permeate. Okay. So hi Shakti. Okay, I know I probably said hi already, but I'm catching up on comments. Um, Will says, I'm taking note tonight, just so you know. I'm the student, you're the teacher. Oh, that's sweet. Well, there's a saying that we say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And we're all on different steps of our journey. Some of you are further along than others. And, I will never ever put myself out as some, wow, look at me, because no. Um, I'm even like everybody else. I've just walked the path a little longer and paid attention to it a little longer. But, I'm so, let me tell you, Will, thank you for that comment, because um that's my heart. Helping people, teaching people, helping them to have a better life for themselves. That's what I do in my private sessions with people too. Yes, I can do the predictive, but if any of you have had mini readings with me, or full readings with me, some of you have, that's a lot of the space of where spirit works through me. Okay. So and it's a beautiful place. I mean, I just love it. I've gone on my own healing journey very intensely. So I've ways to go. That's why we're here on this planet. But thank you for that, Will. You touched my heart. Thank you. Okay, Serena. Hi, honey. All right. Princess Sophia was responding to Jeremy about sometimes the pain is unbearable, especially when you give and get nothing in return. And Princess Sophia says, I feel this is boundaries, accept nothing in return, and we won't be disappointed, as my brother says. Yeah, expect. Sorry, I read that wrong. But yeah, expect nothing in return. Do it because you want to, without expectations, without needing the accolades, if you will. And Jeremy, I'm not pointing just to you. This is for all of us. Again, we come from a feeling space, so we relate to the world from that space. And so we're all tied up in the emotions and the acknowledgement and the gratitude. And, so yeah, it's a different and unique way of living the world. There's a lot of us, but other people don't understand it if they're not in the space. They don't have the capacity. That's okay. It doesn't make us better. It doesn't make them better. It just is. But yeah, awesome. Okay. Kirsty says, I only just seen this notification for this. Huh. Well, welcome. And I want to let all of you know that after this live is over, any of my lives, be it the Psychic Mini Reading Lives, yes, I said that right. Or the Table Talk Thursday lives. They're always posted on my page. You can always go back and replay. You come in the middle, you can always go back and replay from the beginning. I welcome you to do that. I welcome you to comment if you'd like to about, replay. And just let me know because it's up there and I keep them up there because these are things that people will find along their journey when they're ready too. So, okay, cool. So let's see. Shakti, how does an empath know what is their own energy, what is ego, and what is of others? All right, well, we've talked about some of that, but that's where some practice comes into play. And one of the key things is, like I said before, was if you have certain emotions, but you can't place why they're there. Like that day I woke up angry, I no idea. And then I got it all back in return, even though I wasn't being angry with other people, but I was carrying the energy. So I tapped in, somehow someone tapped into mine or I tapped into theirs. And that's another thing. Let's talk about a tool with that in a moment. And so when it doesn't fit your environment, your scenario, or your experience, lots of times you'll know it's somebody else. Okay. Um, and one of the tools, very important, to utilize when we're I advocate this for everybody, but especially for us that are empaths, sensitives. um White light yourself every day. Envision a bubble of white light that's the highest vibrational energy and step inside of that light. What does that do? It's not going to keep all of the negative excess energy or energies that are not yours, but it'll help shield you from a good 90% of them. Okay, it's not a fail safe, fail proof, whatever, however, I think it's fail safe tool, but it's one of the tools that you can work with to help you. Okay. Archangel Michael's the other part of that. Even though you've have that white light bubble, clear yourself every night. It's about also keeping that energy field clean. Because again, it's kind of like the window. If the window keeps getting dirty, you can't see through it. You can't really get a clear picture, right? So the more we clear that energy off of us, the more we allow ourselves to really be in our space and understanding this is ours. This is my emotion or emotions. Okay, so thank you. Cindy Rose says, much processing, yes. And doing what you can when you can, and then you carry on. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was one of the biggest worriers. What if this and what if that and what if that and what if this? Part of it, like I said, was because I was sensitive. I could feel things before they happen. I'd also get psychic premonitions before they happen. Um, but again, what really helps me is understanding what I can affect and what just is, and I don't have effect. I do my part when I can, how I can, and then I have to detach from the rest. Otherwise, we could sit in a hole all day. I mean, there's so many things that I'm sure all of us would like to have shift or change or what have we, but there's only so much and so many things and so many ways we can affect it. Okay. So it's just kind of almost, I want to say logical, if you will. Okay. Dana says, I found that I become numb to avoid pain and disappointment. Yeah, it's because you're overwhelmed, Dana. You're overwhelmed. And a lot of people do that. Well, sometimes we shut it down because it's too intense. And the thing is about that, I'm hoping that tonight is giving you some good tools and some good insight that you can start working with. And for all of us, because what happens is, I'm a firm believer, if we become numb to avoid the negative emotions, I don't believe, this is where I stand. There's no way to do that without shutting down some of the other side of the spectrum. That didn't quite come out the way I meant. But if we shut down over here on this end, the really intense negative emotions, the opposite effect's going to have too. And we're going to shut down some of the very intense, joyful, and happy emotions. So we kind of lose out. Yes, it's survival. Nobody's saying, we do what we have to do, but if you can come to some place where you can start working with it so that we're not shutting down, that is a way to go, absolutely. But if we shut down the water pressure on the cold, well, the hot water pressure, they kind of have to bounce off of each other, if you will. And don't tell me I'm wrong if you're a plumber. That's the way I see it. That's the analogy I'm using. So let me be in my bliss with that. Anyhow, okay. So, Cassandra, I have people that I just can't be around because I feel the bad intentions. Yes. Yes. And that's really important. That's where too, it's a blessing. We can tell. We can feel it. We can see through people lots of times. When I say see through, we feel it. So it is kind of a form of seeing through it. Okay, because people present themselves to be all kinds of things. But when we're sensitive, we're feeling the energy. Everybody's energy. Everything is energy. So we can read it. We can feel the truth of it. And in many ways, yeah, it can be frustrating at times. It can feel lonely at times. You can stand there and go, everybody likes this person, but I just know. And you're like, right? I've had that happen. But I just let it be. I have to let it be. And they'll figure it out or they won't. But for me, that's the way I see them. So I use that as my, okay, we can be cordial, but I keep my distance. And that is a beautiful tool to have. All right. Starve them of electric. When I was talking about unplugging the cords, it's right. It's true though, in many ways, with energy. Okay, Will, I've always pick up on a person right away. Everyone else thinks they are great, but I just addressed that. I'm just catching up on all of these, but I was just saying that. Yeah, okay. Everyone else thinks they are great, but I know deep down they have ill intentions. Yeah, I've had that so many times in my life. It can feel very isolating at times, very lonely at times, but I just remind myself that I know the truth, and really I'm avoiding some discomfort, some pain, some not so pleasant things. And so, okay, eventually their true colors surface to everyone over time. They see why I chose not to have that person in my life. I've been really working hard on protecting my personal space. Awesome. Well, very important. And I'm going to say, I hear very clearly, nobody has to agree with you. It doesn't matter. It's what you feel. And it's true. A lot of people wouldn't agree because we're feeling it and they're just over there with their ego in their eyes. They're in this physical world relating in that regard where we're feeling it on all kinds of different levels. And again, it doesn't mean we're better. It just means that's the way we show up in the world and that's the way we relate to the world. And I see it many times as a blessing, especially as I've learned to use my tools and manage it more. I find it to be a blessing. So awesome. Hey Tony, Tony's watching. Hi Tony. Hope your move is going well, sweetie. Driving safe. Tony's, in case you don't know, Tony's my moderator. She shares to groups for me, like Table Talk Thursday. She'll share to groups. But when I do my psychic mini reading live, she's my moderator. However, I've been without her this week. She left on, was it Wednesday? Yeah, I think it was Wednesday. And so we miss her. She's always got my back, and some of you know her. And she's a wonderful person. So everybody wish her many blessings and safety on her travels. Okay. Cassandra says, I paint or create. Yes. It takes us out of this space where all this minutia and this negativity is just hitting us. It's almost like getting food thrown at us, and we go into a space where we can uplift our energy. And that's another tool. Do something that will uplift your energy. Because let's be real and honest about it. This world is based on negativity. We are, from the moment we come out of the womb, it's all about negativity. Bad, good, right, wrong, failing, pass. And so when we can take ourselves and out of that space the best we can and as much as we can and put ourselves in a place, my thing's music. I love music. It just speaks to my soul, speaks to my heart. And whenever I listen to music, as long as it's not headbanging punk rock, sorry, I just don't like headbanging punk rock. It's like, it hurts my head. Um, I feel uplifted. I love all kinds of different genres. And Joel, if you're still here, yes, I do like some country. Just depends on the country. Wasn't always my favorite, but I do enjoy it now. So, lifting yourself up, helping yourself to pull up out of the negativity is really important. Okay, Nicola, hi. Can you tell me if I have any gifts? I feel I have, but okay. Nicola, I don't know if you're still here, sweetheart. You may be. I'm just catching up on my comments. And so, my dear love, I'm so glad you're here. And I hope you're here still, and I hope you're staying and listening. Um, Here you are. Well, it's been about 10 minutes, so maybe you're still here. Sweetheart, tonight is about Table Talk Thursdays, and that's every Thursday night we pick a different topic, metaphysical, inspirational, or spiritual topic, and we do this interactive forum where I speak, I impart some of my experience, my knowledge, my experience of working with my clients and teaching workshops and my own experiences in my personal life and my psychic world, and things I've researched and learned about along the way, and I share that. You can ask me questions. All of you share your thoughts, and we address all. We just have a great time. So that's what tonight is about. My regular Wednesdays, weekly Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Arizona time, which we are now the same as Pacific Standard Time, is when I do the mini readings. But I also do last minute lives with psychic mini readings. So if you haven't, Nicola, or anybody else, if you haven't liked and followed my Elyse Ann Psychic page already, please do. There's all kinds of things you can take benefit from. Postings I put up, I do channel messages, all kinds of fun stuff. And also, we can always work one-on-one in a private session for anything. Check out my website, ElyseAnnPsychic.com. All right. So, Tony, hi, stopped for the night and see you were love. Well, I am love and we are love, but we're live. I know that was a great topic. Tony, I'm so glad you're joining us. Yay! All right. Janice said, oh, thank you for bringing that back in, Janice. Sometimes we just keep rolling and I sometimes, here and there get lost. Earlier I mentioned shame and pain. This is a family shame. How can we take off this coat, please? Okay, my dear love. Some of that I'm going to be honest. I'll address it at a general higher level. When I say higher level, kind of like umbrella way. I would be so honored and blessed and very happy to help you one-on-one if you'd like to go deeper with it personally for you. But it's about the biggest thing is about coming to an understanding that this is not yours. The family shame, exactly what you said. It's the family. It's not yours. You didn't necessarily create it. It wasn't. And let me just say one thing about that. If we were a part of it somehow, this is for anything, Jess. I'm not reading you. I'm not saying you were, but I'm just saying. If we were a part of any of the shame or what they call generational legacy, okay, there's been a lot of talk about that recently. It's not to have blame on anybody. It's about doing our best to understand that this is the way, like, for example, it's coming to an understanding that, well, for an example, okay, so my grandparents, let's say, were a certain way as parents. So my parents learned that from their parents. So they learned how to emulate my grandparents' behavior, let's say. So they were that type of parent. And then I learned to emulate their behavior as a parent. So I was that type of parent. It's not necessarily about laying blame or, the shame of, and I am a survivor, by the way. So, there's a lot to unpack in that, but I'm not going to go there. It's not about that. It's coming to an understanding that everybody does the best they can in the moment in time with the tools that they have. And if they were not taught any different and they were unable to see for themselves to be different, it's not saying, gee, it's okay that whatever they did, but it's understanding that if they weren't taught calculus, how could they know how to do calculus? And so again, that's a tough one, and it takes some time. I know from my own personal journey, it took me a long time to get there. And I've had a lot of forgiveness, because forgiveness is about releasing ourselves from the chains that bind us, because we're the ones stuck in the negative emotions, the hurtful emotions of it. And again, it's not giving them saying, oh, it's okay. No, but it's about loving ourselves enough to say and have grace for them. Just like if, let's say, there was some sort of generational legacy and maybe you became the same way, it's only because you didn't know any better at the time. So that's kind of a higher level. When I say higher level, I mean just kind of like an umbrella, overlooking answer to that. Okay. I hope that helped you, sweetheart. All right. Nicola, I feel pain when too much negative vibes around me. Yes. Yeah, we feel it all. The negativity. I know I cannot be in crowded places. I can't. I'm just like, it's overload. You can see I'm like this. I don't, I no. I can't be in crowded places like that where it's body to body. And, I'm not even talking about Corona, whatever you believe on that. I mean, even pre-Corona, I have to have some space or I'm like, oh my God, I got to get out of here because I'm feeling it all and being sensitive. That's what happens to us. Okay, so gain knowledge and pass on knowledge. We are learning every day. Absolutely. Princess Sophia. Cassandra says, do things out of love, not to get love. Absolutely. Wherever your heart stands. And again, it's not about, you give to this person and then you're going to expect it back from them. It's just knowing that this is what you want to do, having no expectations. And if that person is incapable, somebody else always shows up. When we are in need in life, have you noticed? Somebody always shows up one way or another. And it may not be the same person that you gave help to prior. That's how the beauty of the universe and spirituality and synchronicity and everything works. Everything. That's a big word, but everything. All right. Maria says, I always say to get rid of negativity, I always say, I block all your badness, their name. Then I say, I forgive you and send you love and light. This seems to help me a lot. I love that. I love that. I love that. If I may, if you will indulge me, Maria, there is one thing I would like to address in there. It's just from my point of view, and I share it only if it makes sense to anybody. And if not, that's fine. Be careful, I believe, with the word badness, because that is a judgment word. I don't believe in good or bad, right or wrong. I don't believe in mistakes. I just believe there is. And again, it's kind of like when I was not raised this way. It was one thing my parents, made sure of. Never, my mother always used to say, a child is not good or bad. Their actions may not be correct, but the person themselves is not good or bad. They're inherently good. So why I bring that up is many times, and believe me, I was a very judging person. I mean, all these things I talk about, I lived a lot of it too. Doesn't make me a horrible person. It's just all I knew. That's the world we grew up in until we understand. See, it's a society. It's society, period. All you got to do is turn on TV and watch some advertisements. I mean, oh my gosh. But maybe what they did wasn't great. Okay. But maybe instead of saying badness, maybe you can just say, I block all your negativity and negative energy. It makes it takes the attachment out of it for you. That's why it's important. Because when we judge, we're attaching. When we use these neutral words, we take that attachment away. We're not hooking into the energy ourselves. I hope that made sense. Let me know what you think of that, okay? And if you don't agree with it, that's fine. I never judge. I'm just offering. That's what I'm about. I offer. Okay. Melissa says, before I knew I was an empath, narcissist, or psychopathic Psychopath men always were attracted to me. Is there a connection? Do they prey off of empaths? Well, that goes back to the beginning. Oh wow, we're at the hour, aren't we? Okay, I'm gonna you know what, I'm gonna go just a little bit longer because there's a lot of people here. This is a great topic. Let me just address some of these comments here. I hope you all stay with me. I think I'll go another 15 minutes because this is so good and there's so many people here with such great input. Okay, that's where we come from the heart, and so we have an open heart, and people do kind of radar in on that at times, and that's where boundaries become very important. And if you weren't hearing it, or if you weren't here to hear it, I think you have been the whole time, Melissa. But go ahead and any of you replay this. Some of what I've said may hit you the second time around. Maybe you didn't absorb it all the first time around. Okay. But yeah, there's because we have this goodness and we want to help. It's like they can sense it, they radar in on it. Oh, isn't that interesting? I'm always like a comment ahead of you guys when I say something, and then all of a sudden there's your comment about it. Even though your comment's been on for a while, I'm catching up. So Cindy Rose just said replay is always more insight. Thank you for that. It is usually, yes. Princess Sophia, calling in her spirit animals helps, I feel. Yes, that's another good tool. They're there to help us. Jeremy says, I've noticed since I woke, I have more of a conscious than before. Is that part of it? um I believe so. I believe that's part of kind of balancing yourself out, and it puts you more in a management position than a reactionary position, if that makes sense. I hope that does. All right. Princess Sophia says it could be because our hearts are warmer. Interesting. Never thought of it that way, but it very well could be. Excuse me. Jeanette. Hello, sweet Elyse. Well, hello, sweet Jeanette. I'm so glad you joined us. Okay. I'm numb to feelings, which is not good because it creates anger and I need to find the balance, and I will. Yes, you will. Life is really a journey, you guys. And one of the biggest gifts, loving gifts you can give yourself. And again, remember, I'm a survivor and I grew up being told you're too sensitive. So, we know how this all creates in our head and where our value goes. And, um, one of the most beautiful gifts I give myself, I still do when I slip. I don't judge myself. I don't get upset with myself. I don't get angry. I just acknowledge it. And I say, oh, okay. I stay neutral about it. But what I do is I do notice it and I say, okay, there's something more there to work on. May just be the breadcrumbs, but it's there. And I do it without anger, without upset, without judgment, anything. I'm very neutral in that space. And it is a beautiful, loving gift to be able to give to yourself. Because when we beat ourselves up, that is not love. Believe me, whew, I did it for a lot of years. Okay. And again, that's some of what sensitives and empaths do also. Okay, so Janice, I'm so happy I found you. You make sense of my inner self and do feel isolated most of the time. Janice, oh, sweetheart, I'm so glad you found us too. Much love to you. Yes, it is it's a journey, and it's okay. Just have to love and compassion for ourselves. We're willing to give it to other people. We need to find it for ourselves. Grace, love, and compassion. But I'm so glad you found us. Really, I am. Me and us. I kind of, the collective. So thank you very much for that comment. Dana, overwhelmed for sure. Too many people want me to do something for them, but bit by bit, I am being consumed. Well, honey, that's where you have to step up and figure out some boundaries for yourself. Very important. Again, as empaths and sensitives, we want to help so much that we over help, if you will. And this is where we have to put ourselves in the equation. It's really important. And again, because we feel it so deeply, we feel it so intensely, we want to help because we know how it feels. It doesn't feel good, right? But again, we have to make sure that we have some boundaries so that we can live our lives from our space without having too many coats on and not knowing which one is ours. Awesome. Thank you. Tony, I so agree. I can always feel the energy of those that need to be avoided. I also notice that I draw needy people. Those that need support, help saving. It's hard to explain. Well, it's because of your giving heart. And that's the beauty of it in many, many ways. And I know I'm about 15 minutes behind on the comments, but Yeah, we've talked about that some, because they know we're giving. And that's why also it's so important to have boundaries. Because if we just give and give and give and give and give and give and give, we have nothing left, especially for ourselves, figuratively and literally. Okay, Jeanette, I didn't understand when I was younger. My mom said things she felt about my now ex-husband. I wouldn't listen to her. Boy, I was sure I wish I did. Now I have the same gift that my mom has. You know what, honey? It's okay. You're not saying love is blind. In some ways, it's very true. And it's okay because we didn't know. We were at a certain point in that path, and that's as far as we were. We're older and wiser. We're age well, you know? I'm not ashamed of my age. I've earned it. Boy, the life experiences, So very, very cool. Cindy Rose says, we love Tony. Shakti says, hi, Tony. Will, I've used music my whole life. Best medicine ever. Yes, yes. And I've had to remind myself as life has taken me into a very busy space. I have to remind myself because I got away from music for a little while. Very interestingly enough, I went through a lot of stuff. And you would think, knowing who I am, that but we do it too. That's why I say I'm an empath too. And I made sure recently, especially, to have my music going a lot more. And it just, whoo, it's awesome. It's awesome, beautiful gift. Nicola, have you ever felt like you're not able to cry? I'm feeling guilty because I sometimes can't cry, but I just want to, just can't. I'm sensitive and caring, just help for all I do. Cut certain people who I know am who they pretend to be, but my feeling is true. Okay. Um, that's okay. I'm a full advocate of honoring what we're feeling and where we're at. And if you don't feel like crying, I feel I'm going to say this for you, and I'm not this tonight is not readings, but I heard it really clearly. For you, it's your way of protecting yourself, and for a lot of us, sometimes that's what we do. That's why the numbing, not allowing us to not allowing ourselves to feel it, or that's some in some ways we think we're keeping ourselves safe that way. And it's okay in the moment if that's what we need to do. But I'm an advocate of turn back to it, or go back to it and just see where you can kind of help yourself. Because shutting down is not, it is an option, but it's not the healthiest option. That's how I'll say it. Tony says, same here with music. I love many genres, but I definitely need it to be something I can sing along with. I love that. That always helps me feel better and focus ground my energy. Janice, legacy is right for sure. Thank you. You're welcome, sweetheart. Um, Andrea, under attack by demons. That is something totally different, and that's not what we're talking about tonight. I would encourage you, Andrea, to please watch the replay. It'll give you some clarity on what we're talking about. Cassandra, I need space. Yes. And Nicole says, yeah, me too. Yeah, sometimes we do. We need to unplug, especially when we're sensitive. That's another way to help ourselves because we go into this overload. No matter how many tools we have, we can be overloaded. So unplugging, give yourself some space, give yourself some stillness or some quiet time away from others. It's very important. Shaggy says, I feel the most comfortable when I am alone and with my doggies. You don't like crowded places either, and certain people. Absolutely. Many times I feel a pull on my throat chakra and solar plexus and heart chakra around certain people. Yeah, that's tuning into energy. That's tuning into energy. And there's a way to turn it on and off. So you can always just visualize a light switch almost if you want to. That's just very quick in and out on that. Okay. It's kind of something that plays along with this. It's kind of another topic, but it does play along with it. Hi, Desiree. Marie says, yeah, I changed it to negative. I do agree. Thanks. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad, sweetheart. Um, yeah, it has a lot of effect on the energy. Shakti says, I went through similar. All right. Okay, Melissa, you responded. Sophia, Will, I have heard you talking about visualization of stepping into the white light bubble. I'm confused. Is it just for the moment once a day, or do you visualize the white light bubble around you throughout your whole day? And Jeremy just said good night. Thank you for your insight. Thank you, Jeremy. If you're not still here, thank you though. We are going to wrap up the next few minutes. I'm going over, but I just really, really love this. Okay, we'll answer that for you and for everyone. It depends on what you feel you need. See, I'm not a certain space in my journey and who I am and the work that I do that I don't all the time renew that energy bubble. I just know, and I'll visualize it and I'll just know. However, each person is individual on this. If you feel the need to check in with it throughout your day, then check in with it. Make sure it's intact. Make sure it still has a beautiful white energy with it. Okay? It's up to you how you set it up, how you're comfortable with it. When I give these suggestions, it's the way I do it, but it doesn't mean that there's not room or space for anybody to tweak it for themselves. What feels right. Let's go into that. What feels right to you, okay? We're empaths. We know it, right? So that's the way I do it, but that's where I'm at in my life and my journey and my path and my spirituality. Okay, no one's better or one way isn't or the other isn't better. It's just whatever you feel comfortable. I do it once a day. If you feel you want to check into it, sure. Just like having a meal 3 times a day, check it in, check in it. Is your shirt still tucked in? Is your bubble still there? It's funny. I heard that, I heard that from spirit. So there you go. So however you feel comfortable with it. Okay. Awareness. Yes, yes, yes. Lori asked the same thing, or do you do this a few times a day with the white light bubble? So I just answered that. Cool. Cindy says a gift of awareness and patience, kindness and patience, and practice, practice, practice. Absolutely. You guys, true confessions. And then you guys, I'm from the East Coast. Okay. That's an East Coast thing to say. Been out of there a long time, and you never lose the East Coast, I guess. It always stays with you in some way or another. I can't even begin to tell you how much self-talk I have done to get here. There were times it was constant. So yeah, but it is about having patience. Look, you're where you're at in the moment in time with the tools that you have. And if you look at your whole life, you're further along on your journey in certain things than you were even a year ago, even 6 months ago, even a month ago. But until you're here, you're not here, you're there, right? So it's a process. So having patience and grace and compassion. And again, not judging yourself or not getting down on yourself if you slip. Because I had a really hard time with that, especially when I was working on all of this. And I came from a very negative background. I have processed through all this. I've learned now. Does my negativity come out still sometimes? Absolutely. But most people say I would never look at you and see a negative person. And let me tell you, I used to be like, wow, negative, because that's the way I was raised. Okay. And I did a lot of self-talk, a lot of self-talk, a lot of self-talk, rewiring, retraining, if you will. And so, have grace and compassion. I've learned over the years, because when I first started this, I used to get so down on myself. The spiritual teachers say I need to be positive, and you're not being positive, at least. And then that's when I really, after a little while of that, I'm like, wait a minute, this is not working. And this is why you hear me advocate. We're a human being also. Because I was so stuck in the fact that I couldn't do it, and I was getting all down on myself. It was self-defeating. So finally I said, wait a minute. This is where I'm at. I haven't learned it yet. It's okay. So that's why you hear me advocate. This is from a very personal place in my life that I understand the journey from. And that's why it's so important to me, and I'm such a strong advocate of it, because I know how hard I was on myself when I wasn't doing it right. Well, I haven't learned it yet. How could I? So anyhow, okay, moving along. I'll get off my soapbox. Okay. Yes, patience, patience, patience. Princess Sophia is on that path. Yes, Princess Sophia, we know that. You'll get it, sweetie. Listen, that's never been a virtue in my life, and there's still times I'm like, ah. So yeah, okay. Melissa says I swim. Just diving in the water gives me a feeling of freedom, and I can free my mind. Ironically, I used to be a lifeguard. Well, you were drawn to it. You didn't know why necessarily, maybe, but you were drawn to it. All right. Hi, Opal. I'm so glad you stopped in to say hello. All right. As time is going here, Will says, have a great weekend. I appreciate your teachings, and they have been truly helpful to me. I'm growing daily and learning so much. You were so welcome. And I know we're over by about 15 minutes. I know it's getting late for a lot of people, but I just really wanted to address all these comments. I so appreciate every single one of you. I love you all so much. Thank you for all of your support, all your beautiful and kind words, all of your interaction with me, your recommend everything you do for me. You fill my heart. This is what I love. This is my purpose in this lifetime. I want to continue doing this. So please, please, please Send your friends to my page, have them join, follow and like my page. You make sure you're doing that too. Share my posts, share my live, whatever. Get me out there. Help me to reach more people because that's what fills my life for joy with joy. And that's why I'm here, to help others. And to live my purpose is the most beautiful blessing I could ever have. And I am so grateful every day that I'm able to. I'm so grateful every day for each and every one of you. So as I say goodnight, you have a great rest of your evening, morning, or afternoon, depending upon where you are. I just want to say to each and every one of you, many blessings, much love, and I will see you real soon. Thank you, everyone.